ball of clay is packed pretty tight, and then I'm going to look at it and just make sure that what I'm sticking down doesn't have a big crease or something in it. Set it on the middle, pat it down until it looks kind of like a hamburger bun top.
Question, should this be dry?
Yes, dry. Dry. If it's wet, it'll be lubricated, and as soon as you turn the wheel on, it's going to go sliding on you. That's always exciting. All right. Can I share your water? We're going to get the wheel going.
That's different.
Okay, well, you don't want it dusty and crusty.
Yeah.
If it's dirty, get it clean, but dry really sticks the best for your first one. After the first one, your circle of clay that's left behind from the last thing you wired off is the thing you want to stick it to. So it's just for the first one. I'm going to get it nice and wet. My right hand has a simple job. Simple to understand, not necessarily simple to do. It is to be as tight and compressed together and strong as possible, and to just drop down where it would naturally drop down and sit next to the wheel. The pressure is down and back towards my left hip. That's what it does. And you can see if I just hold that, the side of the clay becomes vertical. And that's a function of, well, you can see where I was touching the clay through here. And it's a function of my fingers being lined up one on top of the other like the logs of a log cabin. So that's its job. If grit somehow escapes, which it shouldn't be able to if you're against the wheel, it'll eat up the side of your hand. So you want to just check every now and then that there's no clay under your hand or it eats you. Then you want to get the left hand involved too. Overlap your left fingertips over your right fingertips, and you're making kind of a hinge so that your hands are connected always. It doesn't matter how this hand moves, they're connected at the fingertips. And I'm going to take the heel of this hand right through here. I'll push it and then take it away so you can see where the clay is. Basically from this part of my hand all the way up to there. Squishing forward and I guess sort of toward the right hand corner of my wheel.
So this one is pushing back toward the left and this one is pushing back toward the right.
Yeah. And I've got the...
So they're kind of crossing.
They're crossing. They're opposing each other. And this part of my hand right here is kind of angling forward and forcing the clay to come up into a point. It's easier to kind of divide the wiggles and conquer them. So if you try to push through a thick piece of clay straight up and down and one flat up on top, you're pushing through the thickest part of the clay in both directions and it's stronger than you. But if you push it and sort of force all the wiggle to come to a point, you're only having to center that last little bit of unevenness at the top. Now,
so you're not using the base of your right hand here to shape that much?
Not much. No, it's just kind of wrapped around.
The left hand is doing the work in shaping.
Yeah, I think of the right hand as being strong but somewhat passive, and the left hand being the one that's doing the active work, but it's not having to use as much force.
How do you know when to put the water on? Does it get sticky?
Yeah, so as soon as you start to feel any kind of friction or drag against the clay, this stuff is nice and slick, but eventually it kind of wears out and comes off, and you'll feel first kind of a little prickly sensation, and then you'll start to feel a little bit more, and then it'll start to actually feel like it's sort of catching on your skin. And when you first start to feel the prickly sensation, that's a good time to get your hands off and get some more water.
Is your hand right here, because I'm looking at on that side, is it touching the actual wheel?
The left hand or the right?
Your right.
My right, yeah. You see where it's clean here? That
Uh-huh.
whole surface along here was touching the wheel.
This one's not, right?
No, it doesn't really have to. And on a bigger piece of clay, it definitely won't. But you can see that's just clean, and next to my ball of clay is clean. Now, I haven't yet revealed the most important rule of centering, and that's the one, if you have to remember one thing, this is going to be the one to remember. I'm going to get it wet. Keeping it wet's the second most important thing. But the most important thing is if I squeeze it, and I work really hard, and I get it so it's not really wiggling my hands around, and then I just go, oh, good, I'm done. And I let go really fast, I just wasted time. I mean, I had it, I could have had it, but it got away. So I'm going to squeeze it again, and this time instead of letting go suddenly, I'm going to gradually release the pressure, and it'll be balanced. Okay, so with everything you do on the wheel, because you're applying force in one, maybe two spots, but letting the wheel go around and transfer that force all the way around the circle, you've got to reduce the pressure gradually so that you kind of ramp down that vector of force till it becomes 0, and then you can let go. But if you don't ramp it down, well, there was a moment of force in a certain direction, and then you've taken your hands off, nothing else is going to happen, so it's going to stay that way. You gotta,
Now, are you speeding up and letting off your foot pedal there?
not intentionally.
Okay.
Basically, I just want to keep it going sort of this speed, not maximum, and not I'm waiting for an hour for it to get around the circle again. I think somewhere around 3/4 speed is good. If you go too fast, you tend to dry out too fast, and you can also kind of get a little bit of a momentum to the clay, and it'll kind of beat you around. So,
you ever have to wash your hands in between if you get too much clay on them?
yeah, if you get them really gooped up, is it okay, Frank? I just do that. Just
Okay.
scrape it off. I don't really wash it so
Okay.
often, but you scrape the
Freeze it up off your hands.
yeah, get it off your hands and get it wet again. Now, we don't really want to start opening from this little tiny point. So, move number 1 was what I just showed you. You're kind of pushing forward, bringing all the wiggle to the point, making sure you're letting go gradually so that that point is still in the middle and it's balanced. And then it's really simple. Just raise the wrist just enough that this meaty part at the base of your thumb is pushing down horizontally on top.
This one right here.
In anatomy class, they'll tell you that's your thenar eminence. It's the most important tool in pottery. And slowly, slowly releasing. So I've got it flattened on top with my thenar eminence, and I let go slowly. Now it's balanced. It's happy. And from here, if you can get the centering done, the other stuff's really not that hard. The hardest part is getting the balance to the clay in the first place. And then if you always remember to let go slowly at every single stage of the way, never forget, it won't get off center.